Good evening, everyone. God bless you, and thank you for being with us. This is our Tuesday with El Morya on the Divine Economy. And El Morya says that divine economies are founded upon principles of freedom. Freedom within the marketplace, which includes healthy competition to keep prices low for the consumer, and a lack of excess government overreach, regulations, and taxations, so that businesses and what they pass on to the consumers are not burdened by these regulations, taxations, etc. Divine economies also involve the freedom of individuals to pursue their chosen vocation through freedom of association, freedom of movement, freedom from coercion. So no divine economy could ever conceive of slavery or what could be conceived or looked upon as near slavery in their economies. For instance, overworking employees who have to work long hours, toiling relentlessly with little opportunity for breaks or intermissions is, of course, unacceptable in a divine economy. Divine employment in a divine economy involves the support of both the business and the employee in a co-equal relationship, and an opportunity for both to progress and succeed, the business itself and the employees within that business. What helps the business should help the employee. What helps the employee should also likewise help the business. Businesses that are enlightened should help to enlighten their employees by furthering their self-development. Now, in the past, we talked about rising through the job market and rising up through the various levels of employment within an organization or a business. Being able to progress from one position to the next with greater income, etc. Businesses that are invested in their employees will support their upward climb and movement because this furthers the success of both. Employment should be seen in an enlightened business as more than just a job. It is a vocation. It is part of the person's sacred labor for how they earn their money to support their family, themselves, and whatever they choose to do with the income that they earn. An enlightened business will allow the employee to utilize his or her talents, gifts, skills. And by educating and allowing all employees to improve themselves, the business will be rewarded by investing in the employees. Employees should be rewarded for helping the business become more successful. There should be incentives. Not that we run only on an incentivized system, yet if there is a willingness to work hard and to sacrifice for the business, for the company, the employees should be rewarded. At least acknowledged and hopefully provided with bonuses and other value-added options. Now, Gautama Buddha spoke of right livelihood in his discourse on the Noble Eightfold Path. And just to remind us of what these understandings are of the Eightfold Path, they are right understanding, number one, right thought, right speech, right action. The fifth is right livelihood. And then right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. Now you could say that an enlightened individual who is part of a business, a company, an association, would utilize all of these divine skill sets of living righteously, following the Eightfold Path in their work and service. And of course, right there in the center, the fifth is right livelihood. However, an individual must have understanding of what they are doing, what their job is. What is the job? What is the job description? They must have right thought. They must think things through in order to be successful at their job. They must employ right speech, especially if you're working with the public in any service-oriented industry where you may have contact with the public, with clients, customers, etc. Right speech is imperative. Right action, of course, is all about working appropriately, with effort, with understanding, with divine thought in your work. And when you have right action, you will perform your job victoriously. Now, right livelihood is something that we can all consider, and I think most of us have been righteously involved in our jobs. What are some maybe not so righteous livelihoods? Bartending, serving alcohol, serving drugs, butchers, and being involved in racketeering, thievery, dishonesty of any kind. We could go on, but I think we all know what right livelihood is. Right effort. Now this kind of goes hand in hand with right action, yet maybe you make a great effort and you don't always see the results that you'd like to see. Yet at least your motive is to give your all. And in right effort, you will eventually succeed, because you overcome the stasis of not performing, of not giving, of not serving. How many industries are there, especially governmental industries, where the employee may be more concerned about maintaining their job than actually getting more and more done in an efficient and effective way? If the government is paying for you, which is really the taxpayers, and you have an easy job, you may not put in the effort. Typically, and this is a sweeping generalization, those who are invested in their own businesses will put forth the effort because it affects their bottom line. And their bottom line can be impacted by lazy employees or those who are not putting in the effort. Right mindfulness, of course, is imperative, especially where there is a lot of mental activity involved. Yet in any job, if you are mindful of what you are doing and you do it with love and you do it with respect, you do it with joy, then you're entering into the mindfulness of the Buddhas as you engage and as you perform your duties. And then, of course, right concentration. It helps to meditate. And the term in Buddhism for right concentration is Samma Samadhi. Samma Samadhi. So when you have right concentration and you're focused and you're concentrating on your goals, the dreams of the company and of yourself, you will use that right concentration and focus to alchemize and accelerate the wonder, the awe, the beauty, the harmony involved in the co-creative actions of your work and service. There are also the 5 thieves spoken of in Buddhism. These are Kam, K-A-A-M, which is lust; Krodh, K-R-O-D-H, which is rage; Lobh, L-O-B-H, which is greed; Moh, M-O-H, attachment; and Ahankar, which is conceit. So we desire to put beneath our feet these 5 thieves, which rob us of light and divine energy, and what we require to do our work and perform our service and engage in giving our best. If we are lustful, full of rage or anger, greed, attachment to the fruit of action, and if we are conceited, all of these demean us in the eyes of our higher self. And, of course, typically we are lusting after something, we are in rage against something, we are greedy for something else, we are attached to something physical or a person, and when there's conceit involved, of course we're trying to show off to others about how great we are. All of these involve ourselves vis-a-vis others, our interactions with others. And so we must really focus and understand these 5 thieves and seek to overcome them. And of course, in our 5 Dhyani Buddha rosaries, our Golden Buddha rosaries, we name, in the long version, these negatives, and we overcome them through the powerful aspects of the virtues of the 5 Dhyani Buddhas. A divine economy is one in which both businesses and corporations and those who have invested in them and the employees are honored equally. The investors for, yes, what they invest in the company, but also the employees for what they invest. They are doing the physical work. Investors have a lot of stake in companies. They give a lot in order to have there be, through their investments, growth. Yet the individual employees are the ones who see to the details of the day-to-day business to ensure that it is viable, that it is working, that all the wheels are turning and everything is humming. Investors are important, and of course they desire income through their investments, and this is acceptable because when we invest in anything, we desire a return on our investment. Yet we should not be overly concerned about the investors to the exclusion of employees. We have unions to try to safeguard the health and well-being of employees, and that they are treated justly and righteously, both physically, mentally, emotionally, and also that they have contracts that recognize their value and that safeguard them in negotiations with the bosses and with the corporate heads, etc. Originally, unions were absolutely essential, especially during the industrial age when there was not always the respect for the worker. Now, unfortunately, at times, some of these unions become, instead of a boon to the employee, maybe a drawback in terms of defining through their dues, etc., how they must vote, even for political organizations. And so there really has to be a retooling of some of what has transpired within the unions to bring them into an ascended master model and an Aquarian model. of protection, yet also ensuring that the employees work hard and that they are following divine principles, values, and precepts by giving in their work to God, even if the company is not necessarily a spiritual or religious organization or company. When we give our all in service, we also serve God. We serve the God in ourselves and in others. And there is a lot of value in those who may be doing humble work, janitors, service people in the service industry, because they make the wheels of civilization go round. Without those who clean, those who serve, where would we be? So I like to tip those who serve in restaurants and in other industries very generously, because I know what it's like to work hard physically, and the more that we honor these people who make civilization run by doing humble work, I believe the more we honor everyone, because we are all connected. Remember Jesus' words, "What you do to the least of these, the brethren, you do unto me." So when we honor those who do humble work, we honor the Christ in them, in ourselves, and in all. To understand that freedom is imperative in a divine economy is something that we should consider and actually study, if we choose, through the works of learned elders from the past who studied the democratic principles of freedom and free markets, and understand that systems of communism and socialism ultimately will collapse because they are not founded upon the initiatic path of the disciple, who must strive, who must work. In a divine economy, everyone works, everyone strives to improve him or herself, to improve their own lot in life, yet to improve society and the culture and the civilization as a whole. If we're all working as citizens of a world economy and a planetary economy, we will strive to help every individual. We will not leave anyone behind. We will give in order to have there be upward mobility of everyone, and not be envious or jealous of those who through their hard work surpass us. We will honor them and say they worked harder, therefore they should be rewarded. If we have envy or jealousy of others who have risen farther or higher than us, we need to look directly at ourselves and our own psychology and maybe take a cue from these people and desire to work more effectively, more efficiently, do our studies, whatever it takes. Now, with all of this said, the humble servitor is like what Saint Germain referred to as the 10,000 washerwomen. Oh, for 10,000 washerwomen. If I just had 10,000 washerwomen, I could change civilization. Those who are willing to do the work and get down and dirty and invest themselves in the day-to-day hard physical labor, if necessary, to make everything hum. So if Saint Germain said that, we can take our cue from him and realize that sometimes it is the humble servitor or servant who is really a servant leader. Of course, I've spoken before on servant leadership. But the servant leader is one who shows others the profitable path to union with God through humility, gentility, through love, through giving, serving, striving to help others to move forward, to help others relieve their burdens. So in a divine economy, there are natural ways and means to raise up those who have physical ailments and problems, mental issues, emotional issues, preferably through private organizations, privately funded and founded organizations that will use their resources to assist these people. Some can be done by the government, but we all know that with government you have red tape, you have disincentives often because of the way things are run inefficiently and ineffectively. Private industry generally is more efficient and effective than governments. Why? Why is this? Because when you own something, through that ownership, you desire the best. And you invest your best in something that you own or maybe are a part of owning. Now, having said this, there are companies where individuals are all part owners in the company. Co-ops and cooperative type businesses. This is an Aquarian model, Saint Germain says, El Morya says. And this is really, I believe, what communism and socialism in their true form could be if they were founded on divine principles of freedom. It's a cooperation. It's a cooperative. It's a collaboration where everyone has some say in the business because there is a collective involved, and that collective is partly based on the givingnesses and the contributions of every individual. So as we move forward into the divine economy that we are co-creating now for the Aquarian Age, we can consider some of these concepts so that we can invest our best and let God do the rest. Invest your best and God will do the rest. If we don't invest our best, can we expect God to perform miracles through our investments? We have to invest our best. We have to give our best. We have to provide the resources of our hearts, minds, and wills in balance to help this economy hum and run. If our own economy is troubled because we've made poor choices in investments, we've made poor choices in not saving, we've made poor choices by not being spendthrifty, then how can we expect the entire economy of our nation and our planet to run effectively because we are part of the whole? So if you desire to see a victorious planetary economy and a national economy, start with yourself. Be thrifty, budget, plan, appropriate your money where it best can be appropriated and used. Seek bargains and barter if you can, because bartering is a great opportunity for working with others, using your talents, their talents, and trading those talents or services rather than just through an exchange of money itself. Now, Morya will not comment on cryptocurrencies except to say that in their initial creation, part of it was to try to overcome the manipulation that occurs within economies that are controlled primarily by the large banks, the world banks, the corporate mega banks. And there is a lot of manipulation, as we know, and so It's possible that at some future there could be a presentation on cryptocurrencies. I don't have that understanding down pat, and so El Morya has not released anything on that yet. However, I do see that in a divine economy there is both an equity that manifests through a system that works and hums, where money is simply a means of exchange rather than something that is greedily sought after, where people who have great amounts of wealth use that wealth and invest it wisely in all manner of businesses and opportunities to help everyone, rather than to hoard cash or money, etc. So visualize a divine economy, work on it in your own home, be just stewards of what is entrusted to you, especially what may have been handed down to you from your parents or others, where you have received some sort of inheritance. Be mindful of tithing, because this is the law of the universe of basically reseeding the earth with 1/10 of what you receive so that new growth can occur, as I've shared a number of times, and of reinvesting in God's work upon earth. Tithing is reinvesting in God's work upon earth through whatever spiritual movement, organization, church you desire to so invest. Tithing is making the world go round, because it is saying that God comes first before human greed. God's deeds are more important than human greeds. God's light will overcome the human night when we tithe with love and we give with gratitude and joy and understanding of this sacred law. So I think we'll leave it at there. Thank you, Helen, for broadcasting tonight on behalf of all those in New York and throughout the world who are participating. So take it away for the remainder of the service. God bless you, and we'll talk to you tomorrow morning from Livingston, Montana during our normal Wednesday morning broadcast service at 7 a.m. Mountain Time. Take care. Bye-bye.